can decide to restrict me. That's their choice, but my choice is no longer not to take Amrit on that day. Guru's Kirpa, I took Amrit. Guru's Kirpa, the judge wrote this very beautiful 18-page judgment on how it is important for Canadian society to accept and allow diversity in this manner and the impact this would have on students by allowing a Sikh, and so on and so on and so on. He said something very interesting. He said that his father fought in World War I with Sikhs, and he knew what a Sikh was. And this is a very important, interesting theme that you've got to remember. So here's a judge, and we're in this little town with 20, 30,000 people by that date, and they don't know what a Sikh is, and the whole community is really scared. Really scared. This guy's going to come in with a 9-inch dangerous weapon, and this is like really scary to them. Anything and everything you do in life, the legacy you leave has nothing to do with you. Because you've been born into Gursikh household, when you go into Sikhi and you start your journey of Sikhi, everything you do will reflect on your father. Nobody's going to remember, Tulli kaun si aaya, hanji speech kar gaya, ye wo. Right? People will remember that this is what the sons and daughters of Guru Gobind Singh did. They will remember the Swaroop. This is very important. This is very, very important. Here I was, and here's this judge. He could have easily said no. And what, in my opinion, tilted the balance in my favor was that his father had interacted with Gursikhs, knew that they were Sikhs, didn't remember the name, didn't tell his kid, by the way, I met with Surinder Singh Barnala or whoever, right? Talked about the Swaroop and talked lovingly or in admiration about the Swaroop, enough that this judge, who is in his 60s or 70s now, makes a decision because of the impact that an interaction with a Gursikh had with his father 60 years before. Anything and everything you do in life is about the Sampacha and how you represent the Sampacha Shan. Everything. And I say this to younger, when I talk to younger kids, like high schools and junior highs and so on, I say it also reflects in your marks. C pluses ain't acceptable, right? Baba Ajit Singh would have never gotten a C plus. You are going to be the best of the best in anything and everything you do, because that's your destiny and you're going to fulfill that destiny. Over time, though, the journey into Sikhi, which started initially as a reaction, as an anger reaction almost, transformed into discovering love. And a lot of it came from the Sangat of Kirtanis and Gursikhs that showed me that Sikhi was about Nimarta and Pyar, and that's the core of Sikhi. Jin prem kiyo tinhi par payo. Jeto prem khilan ka chao, sirtar tali gali meri aao. Right? So this love story starts with giving your head, and then Guru Maharaj leads you in that journey. Right? But Jeto prem khilan ka chao. If you want to start that journey, right? It's not, I'm going to fall in love with Guru Maharaj, and then at some point when I think I'm ready, I'm going to take Amrit. If you want to play that game of love, sir tar tali gali meri aao, fir sir leke apni, put it on a platter, bring it, and then that journey starts. This is why Amrit is so important. From Bhai Jeevan Singh to Purandarji to Gyani Nar Singh, Bhai Rama Singh, a lot of good Sikhs, right? Maharaj kehte ne hat jug jug bhagat paaya, paich khtaaya Ramaraje, right? As I grew up, I had those experiences. You guys have amazing experiences with the Singhs that are sitting here and that are presenting to you. Enjoy their Sangha, take advantage of their experiences in their lives and so on. I tell a funny story about my first set of experiences with Bhai Jeevan Singh. My wife was very close to Bhai Jeevan Singh. And she, in her teenage years, Bhai Jeevan Singh would come and he'd teach Kirtan to kids, and she was fast at Kirtan, and she'd be sitting there and told, just don't worry about school, you're going to get taken care of your whole life anyways. Your job is to teach Kirtan and learn Kirtan and so on. I didn't know who Bhai Jeevan Singh was, except my first experience was where we were deciding on our wedding date. I was told that, no, it's a range. It won't be on December 24th, that's when I got married. It could be between the 15th to the 25th, because Bhai Sahib is going to be here around that time. And in case he's late by a day or two, we'll have to change it by a date or two. So imagine trying to tell family and others that my wedding date is an approximate time frame, okay? And if you can make it great, it could be agge piche thoda ho sakta hai. You know, not ke kanta agge piche. It could be a few days here and there, right? But it is, and I don't have enough time in this presentation, it is undescribable of the love that Bhai Sahib exuded. It is unimaginable. I can't describe it. Those that haven't experienced it or have heard it, there's no way that I can explain it, right? It is what gives me comfort, though, is that one of the things that parents stress most about is what happens to their kids, right? And you guys, for those that are kids in here, not the parents, you don't understand this yet, right? But the worst thing that happens to a parent, the worst thing, right? The same, worse than dying, because dying is easy. You think it's over, right? Worse than dying is when a kid shows up with it. When a kid says, "Main hunse khich nahi aa," shows up one day, and we had a family friend, and he showed up patat one day, and his mother couldn't recognize him first. When she realized, she went into shock. She screamed and she fainted. She woke up and she cried loudly, as loud as you can imagine, for days and days. She couldn't imagine how he hurt her. You've been given births into Guru Gobind Singh's household. Take advantage of that. What gives me sukh and comfort is that because of that darshan, because of Kirtan, because of the blessings of those Gursikhs, my kids are on this journey. My kids want to learn Kirtan and want to do Kirtan. Actually want to wake up Amrit Vela. And that's the next aspect of my life that is very important for me. I'm doing this presentation way slower than I should be, but we'll go on. In my life, I've had 4 big attempts at Amrit Vela. Nitnem was always easy, right? I was 16. You start doing your Nitnem at 16. By 17, you got it memorized. It's easy, right? You can, if you start your Nitnem when you're in your 40s and 50s, maybe on Bani Kantakaran, bada chal lagta hai. When you're 16, it's very easy. It takes a year or less, and if you've been doing consistently, you'll have it memorized, not a problem. Amrit Vela is very tough, right? Especially in the teenage years, getting up early in the morning. It was very, very difficult. I went through 4 experiences of trying to get my rigor of Amrit Vela. The first one was when I took Amrit. A little while before that, and about 6 months after, I was very regular every day. And then I missed a day, and then I missed a couple of days, and then I woke up late further, and so on and so on. And for years, I just didn't maintain that routine. Then when I met Bhai Jeevan Singh, he asked me what time I wake up. He didn't ask me what my business was, right? he asked me how many brothers and sisters and what education I had. One of the first questions he asked me was, so what time do you wake up? Right? In Punjabi. Right? And my gut reaction was to lie. Because I knew he was looking for an early time. Okay? I didn't want to say it's like, okay, 8 or 9, right? I run my own business. I show up at 10 at work, so I get up at 8 or 9. I do nitnem while I'm in traffic, right? This is what I've degraded myself to. So when I said 6:30, because I thought, that's semi-respectable, right? He was so utterly disappointed. And disappointing him hurt me, right? Because when you disappoint your father, when you disappoint Gursikh that you have high regard for, it hurts you. I said, no. For months, no matter where he was in the world, he would call me at 2 a.m. He calculated the time zone difference. He would wake me up at 2 a.m. to do my nitnem. So for a few months, I woke up. And when he stopped calling, a few months later, I stopped waking up. And I look at this and I say, "Aisa kirtakan, Maharaj tonu ek wari nahi, kinni wari us passe la jande ne, kinni wari opportunity dende ne." Right? I'm not here to tell you I'm some special Gursikh. I'm telling you about my failures. But despite those failures, my guru, my father, didn't give up on me. A few years later, I had another experience. In that corner is Puran Daji, and that's, we call her Vadi Mama, Bibi Pupinder Kaur. You guys can find the Kirtan online also. And that's his wife. And his son-in-law was like my business partner in India, and we would travel around a lot and so on. And we'd be in the same hotel room, sometimes on the same bed, and so on. And he was gaining a lot of weight, by the way. And one night, I decided to have this discussion with him. I said, look, we've got to get disciplined, eat less, we got to lose your weight, right? And because of Sangat with Puran Daji, he was very strict with his Amrit Vela. He'd be up at midnight, because that was the time Puran Daji used to do his Amrit Vela. And midnight to 3:30 would be his regular Amrit Vela. This was a fellow by the name of Kuljit Singh. And I'd be doing emails till midnight, right? And we'd be in the same room, and he'd do Ishnan, and he'd start doing Nitnem. And mere wakanda kirtkan apni emails kar ke band karke uthe so jane, right? And for a couple of years that we traveled around and we're getting this business off the ground, I would be in my sleep listening to him doing. And not once did he say to me, but that day when I said we should have the discipline of making sure that we did a little bit of exercise and ate a little less and so on, he said, yeah, wo karna shuru karna chahiye, badi changi gal hai. Eh kariye, naal di naal ikkathe Amrit Vela kar liye. And he had this discussion with me, and I said, okay, great, we'll do Amrit Vela. I said, but main midnight so ke na, midnight nahi ut sakta. Okay. So give me at least 3-4 hours. He had a train to go somewhere the next morning at 7 a.m. He said, okay, eh karne a ke 4 baje main tonu utha deanga te 4 to 6 ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਲਾਂਗੇ. Woke me up 4 a.m. I did my we did Sukhmani Sahib, we did a little bit of Simran, we did Nitnem, and 6 o'clock he left. This is the last conversation I had with him, because 7 o'clock I got a call that there was an accident at the train station and he's died. And I said, oh my God. I said, Sache Paatshah, ek hi paana vartya. Mere wakan de kirt kan nu je tusi sabak sikhana siga. The eighth tarika siga sabak sikhan le. I cried. I was in this hotel room and I loudly cried. I cried as loud as I could, because I wanted. This was my unhappiness with my guru, saying, "Hey, hang on." This was the last conversation. Was like, "A sabak sikhanda tarika siga." And I decided from there, that's it. I will not miss my Amrit Vela ever again. And another 6 months, I did my Amrit Vela consistently. And then I missed a day, and I missed another day. And then I stopped missing. And I lost it again. 3 times in my life, I had such huge, powerful experiences. One, when I took Amrit. Second, by Jivan Singh Did Darshan. Third, when Kuljit Singh passes away. And I don't maintain my Amrit Vela. Then something very simple happened. We were doing some construction in our house. We were building a room on top of our garage. And this was going to be our big master bedroom. Or kids are growing up, they need an extra bedroom. We were going to make this big master bedroom. And one day, my wife and I had this discussion. We said, oh, bedroom banandi tha na. The center of our house is Kirtan. Why don't we make it into a large Guru Maharaj Wala Kamra? So there's a room in our house, almost more than half the size of this room. So it's a very large room. And we put a big palki in there. And we decided, hey, let's start this by doing Amrit Vela. My wife is way smarter than me, right? Like she is way smarter. It's generally the case. You know, those that are married will acknowledge that. Guys that are younger, you don't understand that yet, but I'll assure you that's the case. So she said, it'd be great if we could get Sangat with us. I said, great. Yeah, Sadlo, Sangat Sadlo, right? Great. Sangat Sadlo, Ekvari Sadlo, Dujivari Sadlo. My thinking is, yeah, you know, for 2-3 days, right? Then she called up the Singhs that run ekija.org and said, by the way, we're doing Amrit Vela every day. Originally it was 12 to 3. Now, because Singhs requested it, we changed the timings to 3 to 5. Can you please put this up on your site? And we'd like to invite the Sangat every day. They said, when? I said, forever, right? Every day, forever. Just put it up on the site that Amrit Vela is going to be from this time to this time. And that's it. That's how my Amrit Vela really started. So for about 2 years now, 2 years, year and a half, knowing that somebody's going to go knock on that door in the morning, make sure that I'm up. So even if Bhai Jivan Singh isn't calling me, Guru Maharaj ne aisi kala varti कि every day there's some good Sikhs that show up, and because some good Sikhs show up, we have this blissful Amrit Vela, amazing Amrit Vela that you can't imagine. But I'm forced to wake up. Because when they're going to knock on your door, you just can't be sleeping, right? It's on the site. It's not getting taken down. This journey is not meant to be easy. It's not meant for the lazy. It's a sangharsh. And you've got to be willing to follow that sangharsh. If you're not willing to follow that sangharsh, it doesn't come as easy. I don't remember the tuk, there's a tuk by Gurdasniya Varante where he says Sikhi is like the taste of a stone. There's no taste to a stone. You lick a stone, there's no taste to it, right? It takes time and effort. That journey with your Guru requires effort from your side. And Amrit is core. Amrit Vela is very important. And my recommendation is find a group of friends. Don't do it alone. Give each other the support. And the moment one of them drops off saying, Aaj main nahi aa sakta, it's that person's house you're doing Amrit Vela at. Okay? Because you'll make sure that they wake up. Guru Maharaj has blessed me in lots of ways personally. Let me tell you about my business life. So we ran an engineering construction business, and this was in 1989, 1990. when my brother and I graduated from university. In those days, there was no internet. But there were this new exciting technology, fax machines, right? People used to think, wow, how cool, you put a document on one part and you get it in another part of the world. People thought this was the coolest thing, right? But we were in the construction business, and nobody made fax machines for the construction industry. Nobody made fax machines for blueprints and big-sized documents and so on. And with Guru's Kirpa, my father's business was doing well. He had a number of construction sites, and we used to have a full-time fax person in each of these places because somebody had to make a copy of a drawing and cut them into strips to put through a fax machine. And my brother thought, hey, this would be cool. We should make a fax machine for big-sized documents, right? There's nothing like that in the world. We should create that. He did. My father funded it. First year out of university, he developed a big-sized fax machine. I thought, okay, great. He tried to market it, couldn't sell it. They're 12 grand each, 24,000 for two of them, and you couldn't sell any of them. And I thought, hey, you know what? You've got to have publicity. You've got to create awareness. And sometimes to create awareness, you've got to have a gimmick. And I thought, let me go to the Guinness Book of Records, say, I've got the world's biggest fax machine. They'll give me a certificate for the world's biggest fax machine. I'll go get publicity around that, and that'll be it. So I wrote to the Guinness Book of Records, all expecting that they would say yes, and their reaction was, of course, no. They said, no, we do human interest kind of stories. You know, if you can do more jumping jacks than anybody else, if you've got a longer beard or longer nails or something else, then we'll get you in. We're not a technical kind of a thing. And my first reaction was, hang on. The mistake is, I told them about the product, I didn't tell them about myself. They don't know who I am. The moment they know who I am, they'll understand there's something different here. I sent them this picture. It's tough to see probably from where you are. And I don't know whatever impact that picture had. They said yes. 1992 edition of the Guinness Book of Records ran that picture in 22 languages, 18 million copies around the world. And we had a business that took off. We just started getting orders, and business took off. In '94, I was 25, and we took the company public on the NASDAQ, raised about 10 or 12 mil, and business started. 1994, and life went on. But one of the things I discovered at that time is that because I had taken Amrit and the Sampacha had given me a certain sarup, that was a strategic advantage. That when I went and presented to people, irrespective if they remembered anybody else or not, they'd remember me. That this sarup was cool. I hadn't discovered it until I started getting articles in the papers and things of that nature. And I'll prove it to you. When you come here and you see Gursikhs with their beautiful Dara Prakash and their Bana, dekh ke ji khush honda na? Mainu te khush honda. I'm telling you, it's something natural. Ji khush honda andar. And sirf sanu nahi khush honda. I'm telling you, horan nu bhi khush honda. There's something about this sarup that is so utterly beautiful, that is so utterly attractive, that people love publishing pictures. And I decided, in every business I ran, when they'd say, oh, we should, in India, they want a Bollywood celebrity to endorse your product, right? I've saved a lot of money not paying Bollywood celebrities, by the way. When Guru Maharaj tells me, Khalsa mero roop hai khas, what I've discovered is that sarup gets me into magazine covers and full-page articles and other things because it's a unique and interesting story, and I use it as a strategic advantage. I'll tell you a quick anecdote on why that sroop is important. We have lots of reasons, right? But I discovered an extra reason a few years ago, and I thought that's when somebody asks me from now on, why do you keep case and why do you keep a turban, beard, and so on? Especially when a non-Sikh asks, I'm going to tell them this answer. So about 3-4 years ago, there was a high-profile rape case in New Delhi. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it or not. A young lady by the name of Nirbhaya or something, got raped very brutally, and she got killed in that process. The BBC did a documentary about it, and as expected, India banned it. But I'm sure you can find it online. If you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing to understand how horrible this world is. And at that time, a Hindu lady who was the chief minister of New Delhi state made a comment. And she said that when we were little kids, when I and my sister would be sent on a journey and my father would drop us off at the train station, he would walk up and down those train cars and find a train car that had a Sikh in there, and then he'd feel safe and he'd leave us in that car, and then he'd go home so that we could go on to our journey. This wasn't because the Sikh wouldn't do anything evil. This was because the Sikh would not allow anything evil to happen. So your role, being born into a Sikh household, is not just a personal journey. The sons and daughters of Guru Gobind Singh are activists by nature, and your job is to do Sarbata Pala. That's your job. That's why you're here. Recognize that. Her father knew that if a Sikh was there and something inappropriate was about to happen, he would put his life at risk to make sure that that's not the case. Why do we wear the star? So that if you ever need help, you look for the person with the star and they will help you out. This is why we wear the star. If you ever need help in your life, you look for the sons and daughters of Guru Gobind Singh, because that's their job. That's our job. It's a strategic advantage. You stick out. You're special. Let me tell you the next stage of this journey. My current business makes tablet computers. We make low-cost tablet computers. We focus primarily on education, and we focus primarily on the developing world, rural areas and things of that nature. And this is the third business of my career. And this sort of started when I had a discussion with the Gurmukh, and I was spending my time showing off about this business and did well, and that, this and that, and so on. And, you know, letting my ego go off on a journey and explaining to him how well these businesses were doing and so on. And he asked me, he said, "For Gribban li ki kita?" I said, "Oh yeah, मैं वो food bank दे के आया सी वो 2-3 महीने हुए ना, हाँ Gribban li ki kita." He said, No. Your journey is not supposed to be for the average. Your journey is to impact poverty. Your journey is to impact humanity. He said it in Punjabi in much more eloquent words. And one of the things I discovered from that conversation was that when we do ardas every day and we say Guru Nanak Naam Chaddi Kala, Tere Pane Sarbat da Pala. Sarbat da Pala is not just an ask of Guru Maharaj. We're not just asking Guru Maharaj ke sache pacha sarbat da pala kar deo. Khalsa Akal Purkh ki fauj manya janda hai, right? ਇਹ ਦਸਮ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਦਾ ਫਰਮਾਨ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਦੀ ਫੌਜ ਹੋ, ਤੇ ਉਸ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦਾ ਭਲਾ ਕਿਹਦੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਮੇਵਾਰੀ ਹੋਗੀ? ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਮੇਵਾਰੀ ਹੋਗੀ. This is your responsibility. Don't do the average thing. Do something that will change this world so that your father's shan will be reflected in what you do. Do something that will impact this world in a manner that people will never imagine. This is your responsibility. Take advantage of it. Maharaj ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ देह शिवा बर मोहे हैं शुभ कर्म ते कभू न टरो, right? बार बार, this is over and over again an instruction onto you of your responsibility कि जे विच दुनिया सेव कमाइए तां दरगे बैसन पाइए, right? If you do that seva here, then Maharaj has that opportunity served for you. गुरमुख कार कमावनी सच घट प्रगट हुई अंतर जिसके सच वसे सच्चे सच्ची सोई. This concept of this journey of Sach, of Seva, it's not just I do it on Sunday afternoons or Sunday mornings or any of that. Your Amrit Villa and your Nitnem is your personal life. The rest of the time is your obligation to humanity. Fulfill that obligation to humanity. Figure out what you can do to fulfill that role that Maharaj has left for you. What we decided was we should focus on technology that was created that would be appropriate for the poor. How many of you, when you go to India, you see little kids working in people's homes? Can I have a show of hands? Right? Like a lot of you. Right? You know how many little kids work in people's homes today? In India, studies show you that there's about 220 million kids in school, but for those that enter grade 5, 43% of them won't get through grade 8. So almost half of them that enter grade 5 don't get through grade 8. And if you get past grade 8 and get to grade 9, 68% of them will not complete high school. And if you look at those dropout rates and you extrapolate that, then the number of kids that should be in school is 360 million. So 140 million, almost like 5 times the population in Canada, 4 or 5 times the population in Canada, are little kids in that one country that are not in school, that are either farming in the fields or doing whatever, or are sent thousands of miles away to somebody's home to get mistreated and wash dishes and clean toilets and things of that nature. That's evil. We are a generation where there's enough technology and wealth out there today to make sure that everybody in this world gets an education, gets fed, and sleeps warm at night. Right? All of that exists. Why isn't it done? You know what? I've discovered why it's not done. Because good Sikhs haven't taken the initiative. It's our job to help eliminate poverty. That's it. That's what we're going to do. This is our job. Figure out what role each one of you will play, and that's very important in this direction. Sarbata Pala was an important aspect to what we decided to do. But remember, I'm trying to run a business at the end of the day. It's not a charity. I'm not begging people for donations. I am trying to run a business. I've got to figure out how to run this business. But Maharaj also gives me very clear instructions on how to run a business. When Guru Maharaj talks about Sach, this is a very interesting concept, right? So when you're in your discovery about Sikhi, you've got all these great tools. Put that word into Sikhi to the max or whatever app that you're using and see how the word Sach is dealt with throughout. And Sach is not just a spoken word, it's about action. And I thought, hang on, how does Sach relate to action? And how does Sach actually relate to business? Maharaj tells us exactly that Sach ore sabko uppar Sach achar, right? That while truth is great, truthful living is greater. And I said, no, I don't understand that. Like, what do you mean by truthful living? Either I tell the truth or I don't tell the truth. What is truthful living? From a business perspective, though, this is what Maharaj tells us. It says, Vapari vanjarya aaye vajo likhai. The merchants and the traders have come. Their profits are preordained. And, you know, if you decide that these are metaphors, you won't get Bani. Very clear. It wasn't done in Sanskrit, most of it, right? It was done in the common man's language, and Guru Angad Dev Ji created Guru Lipi so that you and I and the common man could read it and understand it. And it was done in so many different languages with the Gurmukhi script so that no matter where you were around that part of the world, you'd be able to understand it. Maharaj very clearly tells us that our profits are preordained. So as a business person, if I sit there and I say, "Main inne paise banane ne," that's not my decision. My guru's already said, "I've figured it out, what you're going to make or what you're going to lose. You don't worry about that." Kar kamave sach ki laha mile rajai. Those who practice truth reap the profits, abiding in the will of God. Odi raja de vich, unne already pehle likhya hoya hai. If I do a truthful business, then that's all that matters. Punji sachi guru mile natis dil na tamai. With the merchandise of truth, they meet the guru who does not have a trace of greed. You can actually run very successful businesses without greed. Maharaj, we hear it in Sakhis. It's Sacha Saudadi Sakhi is one of the very first Sakhis we tell our little kids. And we realized that in the industry we were acting in, there was huge amount of profits. Okay. By the way, Apple, right? A lot of people have Apple products, big fans of Apple products. Apple's sitting on $220 billion in cash they don't know what to do with. It takes 20% of that cash, 20%, only about $44 billion to give every living child in this world an education. To teach them how to read and write, basic education, so they can do basic math and read and write, takes 20% of the cash they have. Right? Hey, they're sitting on more cash than it takes to educate this whole world. Here's one company sitting on more cash than it takes to feed the whole world, or at least feed the hungry in this whole world for years to come. Right? Don't know what to do with it. We decided, hey, what is our price? And what we discovered was that PCs really took off in the US when they got to about a week of salary. And we said, okay, if India is a market, the rural customer in India, what's a week of salary for him? And we discovered it was about $25, right? 25, 30 bucks or so. And we said, okay, great. We got to figure out how to make a computer for $25 to $30, and we got to give them internet access. That's the business we're going to do, because that will help create education and will empower these people. That's the business we're going to be in. First, trying to make a $25, $30 computer is ridiculous, right? How is that possible? So we said, okay, to cover our costs and so on, we'll keep a very basic 15% profit. That's it. We're not going to make more. Whatever our cost is, this is the price we can sell at. 15% is our profit, within which we've got to also cover some basic costs. That means the cost of the materials and producing the thing has to be X. And what's the best thing we can make with an X? That's what we're going to make. Initially, what we made wasn't that great. Over time, though, Moore's law, evolution of technology, and so on, the $25 product we make today, okay, that we sell, not just make, we sell for $25, is a dual-core 1.5 gigahertz processor with 512 RAM, 4 gig of flash, runs Android 4.4, comes with a year of unlimited internet access bundled in there, and is the same amount of processing power and memory and RAM at least as the third version of the iPad. If you decide you're going to keep an honest profit and not gouge your customer because this is what he can afford to pay and is willing to pay, that, because your profits are preordained. It's not for me to determine right? You eliminate greed from that aspect of business, and you decide your business has an impact that has that's global. It's broad. The next concept of Sikhi that was very important for me, that I would highly recommend for you guys to consider, is the concept of this one. And there's a lot of misconceptions about this one. First of all, those of you that are still students and don't have an earning, you think, doesn't apply to me, I got no money. Actually, this one starts from time. You have time. Again, coming back to my very smart wife, she actually keeps a ledger. How much money came in, how much went out. Here's 10% that's not ours, that belongs to the Guru. Actually keeps a ledger. And I'm going to request you guys to start keeping a ledger. Keep a little notebook. If you've got money coming in, write down exactly what comes in and allocate 10% that belongs to the Guru. And do that regularly. And if you don't have money, but you have time, do that with your time. Take a Saturday off and say, hey, every Saturday I'm going to spend X number of hours, I'm going to go down to the food bank, or I'm going to go down and feed the hungry in downtown, or whatever you think is appropriate. It is important for them to see a dastar doing seva. It's important for them to see the presence of my Guru. If we decide we're going to hide in our houses, in our basements, and not tell anybody about Sikhi, that's not our role. Our role is to be out there to increase the an and the shan of that Guru. Spend 10% of your time or 10% of your money and keep a record of that. Keep a daily record of that. And I guarantee you that if you're in business, watch what happens to your business in 6 months. If you're working in your job, watch what happens to your job in 6 months. If you're in school, watch what happens to your marks in 6 months. I guarantee you that. I can, since I've run out of my time and I'm going to try to go through the next slides relatively fast, I won't give you personal examples, but I've seen this multiple times in my life. When I think things are a little tight this month, going na agle mahine kar lange, right? When I start missing my this one, life goes in a certain direction. When I'm consistent with my this month, Maharaj blesses with me with way more than I need. And I sit there often thinking, what makes me so lucky, right? Maharaj di ek to baal, like ongoing bakshish ni kripa hundi hai. And I think, hang on, I'm the worst of the worst. What makes me so lucky? Follow these basic rules. You've given your head to the Guru. You're making sure that 10% belongs to your Guru. From your time or from money, one or the other, you've got to make sure that that's not yours and you understand that that's not yours. Maharaj tells us, Pehla sach halal, doi tija khair khudai. Let the first be truthfulness, the second is honest living, and the third is charity in the name of God. Right? Tija khair khudai. The next concept I want to talk about that had a big impact was this concept of Sangat. And what I discovered was that Sangat wasn't just me in a, you go to the Gurdwara, they're doing Kirtan, you sit there, you listen to Kirtan, you go away. That this is a global family sport infrastructure. It literally is. I found, again, at the most difficult of times in my life, sometimes known to me, sometimes unknown to me, there's always been somebody who helps me out. And many times, it's a Gursik or somebody who recognized me because of my dastar and makes that effort, right? That judge who ruled in my favor when I was a teenager trying to wear a kirpan in school, right? It was because of that suroop, and being part of that family is very important. We're all brothers and sisters. We're the sons and daughters of the same father, right? If you realize that and you recognize that, you will make sure that you look after each other. And that's very important. That's the power of the Sangat. The ability, the willingness to look after each other. Because these guys aren't pulling me off yet, but because I've run over my time, I'll go on. I thought I'd share with you just a few pictures here. I didn't get a chance to do a picture with the Queen, but I got one with Prince Philip. The number of country heads and other things I get a chance to meet is really amazing. Chancellor Merkel of Germany wanted to do a thing on TV about innovation in German society, right? A live televised hour-long thing on innovation in German society. What do I know about innovation in German society? Okay, so they invite me, and I'm there, and it's a round table of 8 people, but I dominate that 1 hour, and I pitch in Sikhi every opportunity I get. A number of these opportunities to meet with world leaders was because of Gursikhs that thought, hey, it'd be cool for you to be there. And that's the power of Sangat. And again, because I've run out of time, I'm going to not spend much time on that. The other concept that I want to explain to you, and this is very important, while we talk about charity, we've talked about Daswand, we've talked about Sarbata Pala, aiming high and succeeding is part of what makes you a Sikh. Na darun aur so jab jaye laru. निश्चय कर अपनी जीत करो. You're going to set a goal, अपना निश्चय बना लेना और निश्चय बना के तुसी जितना. This is not a request. This is not a hope things will go well. This is the Sampacha, the Furman. And my gurus tells me कि तोड़े कर्मा दे विच राज भाग लिखे हुए ने. Try to understand that, please. It's so important. This is what happened with us. We entered the Indian market. I grew up in Canada, never did business in India. Because of '84 and my reaction at that time, India was the last place in the world that I wanted to do any business in. Okay, the Indian government was the last entity in the world that I would have wanted to do business in. But I knew that the impact that I wanted to have, where I wanted to be, was there. We started making tablet computers in India, and initially started working with the government. That didn't work out too well, didn't last very long. And then we started selling to consumers. When we entered that market, the total market was about 250,000 units, and today that market's about 5 million units. And with Guru's Kripa, we're the largest supplier of tablet computers in India. If you Google DataWin tomorrow, the study for April, May, June just came out. We've doubled Samsung's number. We do a higher number of tablets than this number 2, number 3, number 4 player combined. And 4 years ago, we didn't exist in India. We 4 years ago, we had 8 people in India. With Guru's Kripa, now we have 1,400 people in India. We're listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. We're not only India's largest tablet manufacturer, we are a current revenue run rate of $100 million. We got lots of recognition. MIT Tech Review does an annual list of the world's 50 smartest companies. We made that list last year. All I'm doing is making cheap tablets, right? We get listed on these amazing lists. And while we're still based in Canada, we have operations around the world, and a lot of focus now. This chart doesn't show it. A lot of focus now into Africa and Latin America and so on. Succeeding in being number one is part of what's destined for you. And you've got to decide that you're going to take on that destiny. Our role, though, is to make the effort. Remember the talk about the results being preordained? The results are preordained. And whatever the results are, ਉਹਦੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁੱਖ ਦੇ results ਨੇ. Whatever the results are, you got to be happy with the results. Your role, your job is to make that effort. जो राज दे तकवन बढ़ाई, जो भीख मंगावे, ताकि यहाँ कट जाए. It's a really tough one, right? So if you make me a king, what glory is there? And if you make me a beggar, what do I lose? Very difficult to say, and even more difficult to believe. But if things are going well, you got me here to come talk about this. And you see in the media, if things don't go well, still bring me back and I'll tell you about how that went, okay? Because personally, it makes no difference. It makes no difference. My job isn't the results. The results, ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਰਜਾ ਨਾਲ ਹੈਗਾ ਔਰ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਸੁੱਖ ਹੈਗਾ. My job is the effort. Maharaj tells us, ਸਿਆਣਪਾ ਲੱਖ ਹੋਏ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਨਾ ਚੱਲੇ ਨਾਲ, right? I'm so smart, I'm too clever, I'm running this international business, I think. Give ਸਚਾਰਾ ਹੋਈਆ, give ਕੂੜਾ ਟੁੱਟੇ ਪਾਲ, ਹੁਕਮ ਰਜਾਈ ਚਲਣਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਨਾਲ. This is Japji Sahib right at the early part telling you about Raja, Oda Hukam, Oda Hukam Manna. The other, coming down to my last couple of slides, concept that I wanted to share with you is this concept of Shukrana. If you're not sleeping on somebody's concrete floor and it's cold and you didn't get to eat tonight and you're 1,000 and you're not 11 years old and 2,000 away from your pind somewhere in Bihar or UP and you're working in somebody's home in Punjab or somewhere else, then you're very lucky. And even if you were that, I will explain, you'll still be lucky, but you're very lucky. You're here. You get world-class education. Your parents look after you, okay? You're protected in all respects as possible. In every way. Suvere uthte shukrana karo, dopehri shukrana karo, puri diyadi simran karde karde vaheguru 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 da shukrana karo sache paatshah. Mere wakan de kirt kante tu inni kripa karti, inni kripa karti. Seva thodi mangan, bahut, is that the line? कीता ही कुछ नहीं. मैं अपना अमृत वेला संभाल लैनी, किन्नी मुश्किल होई, किन्नी वारी तुसी सबक सिखाए ते मेरे वाकन दे किरत खाने चो फिर भी गल नहीं पई. Despite that, सच्चे पातशाह, तेरा शुक्राना, you blessed me with so much. You blessed me with an amazing family, kids that actually like to wake up Amrit Vela, right? My 10-year-old, if by the way, he doesn't get woke up Amrit Vela, he has a fight with us the next morning, thinking, Mennu nahi jagaya. You think that I'm the youngest, so I'm not your favorite, okay? Sab to vadde nu jagata, duje nu jagata, mennu nahi jagaya, mere naal vitkara kar rahe ho. You're not being fair to me because you didn't wake me up Amrit Vela, right? They all want to do Kirtan, they all want to learn Kirtan. If you've ever seen that Keski wali girl with the violin playing, has anybody seen that? Some of her videos online, right? That's my daughter. Anyways, Shukrana is very important. Very important. Be thankful for everything that Guru's Baksh you. Because I've discovered that despite how successful my personal or business life is, I had no capabilities. I had nothing in me that would deliver me there. And that scares me. It really scares me because bande nu apna hankar hoye na ki bhai I'm capable. I have the strength to do this. But when you realize wo pay aa jaye, wo pay de na fir bhakti bhi thodi sokhi ho jandi hai. You start to realize aur Guru Maharaj das shukrana karde ho of how amazing that life is. And this is why seva is so important. But I'll tell you, I'll share with you my last slide, because every time I do this as part of my nickname, I truly believe how Bhai Gurdas Ji wrote and knew that there'd be somebody like me who would come along, would be so fake, And he said, "Haun apradhi gunehgar haun bemukh manda, chor ya jwar haun par kajo handa, nindak dusht haramkhor thag desh thaganda, काम क्रोध मद लोभ मोह अंकार करंदा, विसास काती है किरत कन मैं को न रखंदा, सिमर मुरीदा ढाडियां सतगुर बख्शंदा." महाराज दे अगे बार बार यही अरदास है कि बख्श लो सच्चे पातशाह। महाराज अगे बार बार ये अरदास है कि सच्चे पातशाह पत रख लो, because at the end of the day nobody's going to remember कौन सी का तुल्ली आया गया, who cares, right? They won't even remember the Singh part, they'll remember that funny little last name, right? They won't even remember that. They'll remember the Sarup. And उस Sarup की जिहड़ी इज्जत रखनी है, it's an important part of the ardas. I hope you would agree to some of these concepts. I hope that you'll make the effort to get up at Amrit Villa. Very important. I hope you will understand the value of Amrit and you will start that journey if you already haven't. I hope that you'll understand the value of this month. Very, very important, right? Critical to Sikhi. And the Sakhis you hear, and the journey that you started on, and the things that Maharaj tells you, believe in them, and practice them, and follow them. They're not vague concepts that were there 400 years ago that don't apply to you today. They apply 100% to you today. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.